a lot of what your job in the medical side on all fronts was organization, systems management, which, is a lot of what the cities do, right? Is putting things in place that allow businesses to grow, right? Residents to have the services that they need. So it's exciting to see what you'll bring with that. So,
and a large part of it was change management.
Change management.
Change is
Absolutely.
hard, no matter where or what you're changing.
Absolutely.
But so we were very good, my team and I, of helping them understand and work through that change management, because business like hospital, you have people who are just so they're doing the best they can.
They've done it one way.
Everything they can, but they've done it one way their entire professional career. So to come in and say, but I have a better way for you to do that.
That's right. Let me show you.
At times we were looked at like, but we got to that point after 10 years in it, they were like, oh yeah, y'all do kind of know what you're doing here.
Yeah,
well,
right.
and you bring up a valid point there. That's creating trust, right?
Yes.
It's building relationship, which, our organizations are all about.
Correct.
Is building those true relationships where you can trust us. You and I have discussed, we might not agree on something.
Correct.
But we are adult enough to have the conversations, number one. Number two, which is fundamental in any relationship. Second of all, then being able to say, all right, let's look at it collectively. Let's look at it together, because we're all in it for the same reason,
Correct.
which is to make this system better.
Yeah.
Same thing with the city of Roswell.
A sincere thank you to Wellstar North Fulton Medical Center for its sponsorship and for fostering a healthy community where businesses can thrive. We'd also like to thank Wire Detail for its quarterly sponsorship. Listeners can use code BREWSHINE to receive $25 off a full vehicle detail or receive a free interior refresh with any exterior service.
Welcome back to Brew Talks. I'm Steve Stroud, President and CEO of Roswell, Inc. We're the economic development organization here serving the city of Roswell.
I'm Andy Williams, President and CEO of Visit Roswell, the city's official destination marketing organization charged with the promotion of tourism throughout the community. And boy, do we have a special guest today.
We do.
An
We do,
introduction
Andy.
to our new mayor. This is Mayor Mary Robichaux. And we are going to jump into a lot because we want to learn a lot about you and what's on the horizon. Welcome. First
Thank
introductory of sorts to the business community. We have a lot of
Yes.
viewers that watch this podcast. So what a great opopportunity to have you on.
you.
Thank you for being with us as well.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and please call me Mary. That's
it.
everybody's still trying to figure out what do we call her, and it's like, well, my name is Mary. I understand all the other titles and things, but Mayor Mary, and I'm like, boy, we can get all kind of iterations.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people still have, unfortunately, a difficulty saying Robichaux, but I'm like,
Sure.
and
Robichaux.
Steve, I've known Steve for quite a long time, and you too.
Yeah.
I answer to anything pretty much. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, we go back a hot minute.
I
Just a
know.
hot minute. Well, Mary, thank you for joining us right in the first week of being in office.
Literally, today is day 7.
Day 7, which is wild. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
A lot going on, which is exciting. There's so much momentum. You can already feel it from the new year, just in general. People excited about what's happening in the city and what's happening in the metro area. Legislature goes back in. Everything's happening. You remember those days.
Today is their first day
That's
in,
right.
in
Yeah,
sessions. Yes,
right.
I remember those days. Luckily, I don't have to.
You don't have to-
travel. I did. I love the job.
Yeah.
I don't miss having to be down at driving that drive.
That
Right in
driving
the
that
middle of
drive.
it. Yep.
Well, it was fine. I'd done it for many years anyway when I worked, but when you don't have to take that kind of drive again, it's
yeah.
pretty nice.
Yes.
Well, Mary, you've lived in this. You and your husband Rory have lived in this community, raised your family here. Tell us a little bit about some of your history here in Roswell.
Well, I think a lot of people may or may not know this. So obviously, we're from Louisiana. Robichaux, that's our married name. My husband Rory is from New Orleans area, and I'm actually from a very small little town called New Iberia, Louisiana.
Ooh.
So those of you who have ever had Tabasco sauce,
The famous
Yep.
that's my hometown. So that gives you an idea of how I cook.
hot stuff. Here
I
we
cook-
go.
I'm a Cajun through and through. I was teasing someone. I said at one point, if the city ever we pick back up and do podcasts or any kind of things from the city, I said, I'm going to have some of my brothers call in. And you can hear what a Cajun accent
you
really
go.
is. Oh, no, they're very heavy Cajun accent still. But Rory and I moved here. Rory's worked for very large corporations on and off. At one point, he was with Coca-Cola, Equifax, Deloitte. I've been in the healthcare industry my entire career, but we ended up here in Georgia now about 37 years ago.
Wow.
We built our first home in this area in, I guess now it's Johns Creek. It was unincorporated at the time. Lived there for about 4 years, and as our children were growing, we have twin sons. We were like, well, wait a minute. We're always going to this one great neighborhood in Roswell at that point that all of their friends are. So then we decided to go ahead and buy in our current home, where we have lived now for 32 years.
There you go.
And you're in Country Club of
I'm in
Roswell,
Country Club of Roswell.
right?
But when we moved in, it was still Willow Springs.
Willow Springs.
Yeah, right.
That's right up old
So
Alabama.
we've been there. So our twin sons have gone through Fulton County school systems.
Yep.
Now again, back then, so they went to Dalvin Elementary.
Okay.
All of
yeah.
the schools they went to were outside of Roswell just because of where we live.
Yeah,
Right,
for
yep.
sure.
So Dalvin Elementary, Haynesbridge Middle, and then they actually technically were graduates of Milton High School
Yeah,
because
right.
that portion of Roswell,
It
even
did.
at that time, we were Roswell.
Yeah.
We were districted to Milton
That's right.
schools. So
I
they are
remember that.
graduates there. Luckily, they've gone on, graduated from college, and they're supporting themselves. So mom and dad are very,
Yeah.
very happy.
There you go.
So we've lived there for 32 years. Great neighborhood. The kids were involved in all the different sports and recs and school things. And Rory and I were very involved in Fulton County schools when the boys were younger. We both worked. And then just a lot of involved in a lot of different charities and things around the area, and then working, and then decided to run for public office at the state level
Yeah.
in 2018.
2018. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, can you talk a little bit about that? Because a lot of our viewers are going to want to know what that background was and what led you eventually to running for mayor. But I mean, it started.
I'm crazy. What could no? So my background is healthcare. So I have a couple of degrees in healthcare, clinical, and then also in hospital management and actually quality improvement. I'm a quality, efficiency, and effectiveness expert in healthcare. Maybe I'm considered that, or I used to be. So what part of my job, my last full-time position was actually, so I worked at large organizations like Johns Hopkins, and then I worked at Emory for almost 20 years. Then I worked, my last full-time healthcare position was I was actually the regional vice president for the American Heart Association
Right.
for their division of quality for 10 years. So that meant my team and I worked in 6 states and 2 territories across the Southeast, working with healthcare systems, hospitals, doctors, EMS, about the care that was being delivered to cardiovascular patients.
Right.
We looked at the way in which they delivered that care, and so we would help them design new systems that were more effective and efficient for these patients for better outcomes. So got to travel a lot, had a great team of professionals that we kind of did that. I guess we were unpaid consultants. Well, let me step back. We were paid by the American Heart Association, but the hospitals, we just went in and did the work for free for them.
To help them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to get better outcomes for our patients.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
yeah.
got to travel. My territory was Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, and then poor me, I had the Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, wow. That's a
So
tough gig.
I did have to travel there
Yeah.
about every quarter.
Little
So again, I
international.
had team members there, but so
Yeah.
I would go in and work with those hospitals too.
Yeah.
So Rory did get to travel with me on those trips.
Yeah, I was
That's
about to
good.
say, is there? Yeah.
So I did that for 10 years. Then I did get to retire a little bit early because our families lost, Rory's family lost everything in Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. So they moved here with us. And then his parents became ill. They lived with us for quite a few years, and then they became ill. I chose to step back from full-time work to help take care of them, and did that. And then as things progressed with healthcare and some other issues at that time, I just decided to say I was going to run for state office,
Yeah.
only because in my role with the Heart Association, I had testified in front of state legislatures. I had helped write those kinds of laws that make what we call systems of care.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, I'm going to be very technical here, I guess. So if you're having a stroke, and if you're in rural Georgia, if we take you to a very small hospital that can't really treat that stroke, we're going to expend about another hour to 2 hours of brain time.
Yeah.
Because brain tissue is dying. So, but laws are in place to help to try to make sure we do have health care across different states. So we worked with these different payers and the hospitals, both small and large, to say we're going to bypass this smaller hospital if we are sure that that patient is having that kind of incident, to get them to a place that can treat that stroke quicker.
Right.
So that was my job, to get people to change the way they practice medicine. Sometimes they have to give up what they assumed was going to be some income, because hospitals, small rural hospitals, are having to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
But for the betterment of that patient.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I know how to do that at a state level. So I chose to run, and I won the first time I ever ran for office.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then I won a second time and then stepped out.
Yeah.
Well,
Lost
it
the
seems
race.
like a lot of what your job in the medical side on all fronts was organization, systems management, which, is a lot of what the cities do, right? Is putting things in place that allow businesses to grow, right? Or residents to have the services that they need. So it's exciting to see what you'll bring with that. So
And a large part of it was change management. 'cause,
Change management,
Change is
absolutely.
hard, no matter where or what you're changing.
Absolutely.
But so we were very good, my team and I, of helping them understand and work through that change management, because business like hospital, you have people who are just so they're doing the best they can. They're
They've done
doing
it one
everything
way.
they can, but they've done it one way their entire professional career. So to come in and say, but I have a better way for you to do that.
That's right. Let
At
me show
times
you.
we were looked at like, but we got to that point after 10 years in it, they were like, oh yeah, y'all do kind of know what you're doing here.
Yeah.
well,
right.
and you bring up a valid point there. That's creating trust, right?
Yes.
It's building relationship, which our organizations are all about.
Correct.
Is building those true relationships where you can trust us. You and I have discussed, we might not agree on something.
Correct.
But we are adult enough to have the conversations, number one. Number two, which is fundamental in any relationship. Second of all, then being able to say, all right, let's look at it collectively. Let's look at it together, because we're all in it for the same reason,
Correct.
which is to make this system better.
Yeah.
Same thing with the
Yeah.
city of Roswell.
Well, and so that's a good segue to this next really kind of topic. And what does it look like moving forward? I mean, we don't want to put you too much in the weeds with that question, because I know you're probably drinking from a fire. There's a lot going on. But what's the
Right.
vibe? How are you feeling? What are you thinking it's going to look like the next year?
So I think we're going to, we have a lot of great opportunities.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to make sure we optimize those opportunities. But I want to be honest and say, but I don't want to destroy or leave anyone behind.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think there are ways we can do some things. A lot of what we've accomplished has been great. What the prior administration and my predecessor has done have been some great stepping stones. Some things have been moving forward, which are great. I think we do have a lot more opportunities across all of Roswell.
Yeah, sure.
What I would like to see, again, I think we are such a unique city. If even around here, we really do have a gem.
We do.
That
Agreed.
we've been blessed by both natural resources, historical resources, and our community.
Right.
I think people choose to live here that can. It's a balancing act. I'm being honest. I mean,
No, it is.
Again, I know I could not afford my home right now that
No.
I could afford 32 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I live,
Right.
per se, and I understand that. But I think we want to try to figure out a way to continue to get young families in, because again, I'm into the grandparent age now, which is great, but we continuously need that influx of new. I've been able to, even in this short time, meet with some entrepreneurial groups. Steve
Right.
knows my
Yep.
husband. I call him a successful serial entrepreneur.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
So he's no, and he really is. I mean, he's worked for very large
Yeah.
corporations, but toward like after a few years, he decided he wanted to be his own boss, which was
Right.
great. So he started some, quite a few very successful businesses, sold them or finished with them, and moved on to different things. So that's why I call him serial. And so I said, "What do you want to do now, Roy?"
He's got
Yeah.
another adventure.
Yes, as Steve knows him very
Yes.
well. So I think we have that spirit here in a lot of people. That I was at this, a younger women's group that it's all entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you start at your kitchen table.
Yeah.
But then, groups like you help them understand. I know you guys have a lot of different even training opportunities.
We do.
I also think, my background, I do come from the nonprofit world, which, it is run as a business, but it is basically focused on as a nonprofit
Yeah.
business. I work for the American Heart Association, which our annual budget was $1.5 billion.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So it's not a small
Small,
business.
right. That's right.
It's one of the biggest in the world in that nonprofit world. And but our focus was on that. For us, it was on the patient.
Right.
What we were doing, our deliverables were about serving. I see the same thing in the government service.
Yeah.
It can be a business, but it's the business of government.
Right. Right.
And that really is about, you have to make, to me, you have the resident, the community, the businesses. That's who you should be focused on serving.
Right. And so much of what Roswell, if you think back because of our history, right, and our resources, the resources and the natural resources, the river, that's what brought Roswell King here, right? And then when you saw an entrepreneur from Darien, Georgia, come here, set up the mills, set up the store, set up all the things that he needed to create a city, we're still doing that in 2026.
Yeah. Yeah, I think your organization, Roswell Inc. specifically, does such a good job. When you've got that stat on the amount of small businesses, I think it's 30 employees or less.
Yeah.
And really, when you think about it, they're the heartbeat of the community, because you've seen the person that works out of their home office and then they move into the small brick and mortar and then they expand their team there, right?
That's right.
And we see that every single day, and you guys do such a good job of that. And I think one of the things that I'm most proud about working within this organization and with the City of Roswell staff is the support shown to helping those businesses. I feel like we are very touchy-feely with a lot of those. And I don't think that it has that commercial, over-corporate-y, you're just an account number. You guys are constantly on the phone. We're constantly having coffee appointments, meeting with people, helping them to market. Some of these folks don't have a big marketing budget.
Or
That's
none.
where we look to be the ones who can fill those gaps and help those out. And I think that is something community focused, where any of the businesses I would hope would say they feel that, and that we as a community do such a good job of that. And obviously we want to keep that going.
And it needs to be, I look at it that obviously in collaboration and cooperation. I think we've done some good things were done down at City Hall, the new service center.
Right.
Could some processes still,
we're always
things are
tweaking.
still going to,
That's right.
I'm one of these, there's always a way to do something
Right.
a little bit
Quicker
better.
and easier and better.
Efficient, especially with new technologies, new opportunities, new needs, because we
Right.
never know what the next need is. One of the things too that I applauded Steve on was that you having that special group. Again, my love for the nonprofit world.
Right.
You don't realize how many nonprofits are actually
So
based
many.
here in
a
Roswell.
ton.
And again, a lot of them are small, but
right.
that's also something that is, that's who and what we are.
Yeah.
And it can keep growing.
Right.
That's it. So so I think there will be a lot of still that development going on very strategically. I mean, I think we need to be careful in that we don't want to diminish our natural beauty and resources, and it's not just about the trees. I know
Right.
that's the concept, but that is part of what we're known for.
Sure.
The picture behind you right now,
yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
falls, how many,
Creek Falls, yeah.
we've been named one of the best hiking trails to falls in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
When you think about it too, I'm sure you know
pretty
this
strong.
more than me, in Georgia, there are 3 places that have the largest number of pre-Civil War structures, and that includes, homes and industrial. And it's Savannah, Madison, Georgia, and Roswell, Georgia.
That's
right. See,
and
that's
that we
pretty
can.
amazing.
I'm sorry.
I said that's pretty amazing.
Right, but that we highlight and continue to grow that. That's what somewhat makes us unique. But I think we don't want to be left. We're not going to be left behind too, because we are looking at innovative things that are coming.
Sure.
Some of the things you guys have helped bring into the city. And that continue to go. We're having people, you probably know this better than me. I've only been here 7 days sworn in. So, I'm not.
Might feel like a lifetime, but not yet.
I'm not 100% well versed in everything.
Right. We're getting there, though.
But people in business and organizations and businesses are starting to come knock at our door.
Yeah.
They are.
But again, some are going to be great fits for Roswell. We also have to be honest. Some we have to consider.
That's right.
Before we just open up our doors to every single one, because we want to retain who and what Roswell is. Because in a lot of ways, we are, in my opinion, the best place to live in Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
I've done it for 32 years. It's given myself and my family so much
Right.
that, it's giving back to that. And keeping it alive and keeping it for the next generation. As I said, I now have grandchildren.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, they live in Savannah. So they live in another area that they grow, but they keep that who and what they really were at a core.
Right.
I'm not sure if I'm making sense.
No,
makes total sense, yeah.
you're dead on, and I think there are two pieces I take out of there. I'm gonna go from the last comment back to the historic homes and assets that we've got. But I've always said one of the reasons I took this job was because I want my kids, I want my 3 girls to bring those grandbabies back to Roswell and have an opportunity to have a great place to live that's safe, that there's an opportunity to get a great job, and they don't live in my basement. And if I can accomplish all of that, then we are really
kind of same thing,
right? It works, right?
I'm lucky. Both my boys,
Yeah,
they
very
don't live in the
successful.
basement.
Yeah.
They're both very, very successful, as are their spouses. So I'm very, very lucky. But my granddaughters come and spend a couple of weeks with me, and they
That's
just
awesome.
love coming
Oh,
all
yeah.
over Roswell.
Do they?
And now they're already like, so one is a 12-year-old, and she goes, Grandma, if I come to college up here,
Yeah.
Grandma's trying to bribe them.
Yeah,
That's
of course.
right.
I'm a grandmother, okay? She's like, I could come spend weekends up there. Well, they come and, to them, this is one of their summer camps.
Yeah.
Sure,
We
it
get
is
them
like summer
for
camp.
2 weeks. They have friends in our neighborhood. Our next door neighbor has 2 girls right close to the age of my little 6-year-old granddaughter. She just thinks that's their cousins.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
that's awesome.
their cousins. That's their
Yeah.
Roswell cousins. So it's that. I think, again, we are so unique. I take them to the parks. Now, again, they're only here for the 2 weeks. They don't get to do all the different programs we have at the
Right.
parks, because they're not here long enough.
Right.
But they go and they play at the parks with again, kids in my neighborhood. I just pack them all in the car and take them places, take them to get ice
great.
cream. So it's a very family oriented.
Yeah.
But then they've also come with me to do things down in the Groveway community
Yeah.
that
Right.
they came and played. So it's very different, very unique. To that to me is where I see us continuing to move forward, to expand on that sense of community, which I think we have. That's why people want to move here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
and they
hear
stay.
stories. Well, we have stories of people. They come to one Alive in Roswell.
Yeah.
And it's a great event, fun
Right,
event.
right.
The next time they might come, they bring their. You don't want to probably not bring too many kids, depending on the time you come.
Right.
But
What time in the evening?
come on. I'm honest.
Yeah.
Look, I'm from Louisiana. But they come back a week or so later and take the kids to some of our great parks down by the
Right.
river, or they come to a ball game that they see all these different great parks and recs we have, and
Right.
they're like, well, wait a minute, this could be a really great place for
right,
family and the community. And so I think that's part of where I'd still like to see us continue, as you said,
Well,
that they could live here, have jobs here, and the job market is changing.
Oh,
let's all be
and
honest,
and it's
no
getting
matter-
better.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's-
I don't say good, bad. I mean the types of jobs
Types
that
of
are
jobs,
available.
yes, 100%.
So I think we
Yes.
have to always be thinking, what's that next 15,
Frontier.
20,
Yeah.
15, 20 years down the road? Are we preparing our students now? So, and that's a hard thing to do.
I know that we can
know.
keep them here.
Well, keep them here and be realistic as to what kind of living conditions can they.
That's right.
Do they want and can they afford?
Yeah,
that's right.
Even those that have great jobs, and then that makes sense to them because they're different. You know, some of my son's friends, not my sons, but some of their friends to this day, they don't own a car.
Yeah, and
They,
awesome.
Now they live. One of my sons does live down in the Decatur area. You know, now he teaches at Emory.
Oh, there you go.
So he actually now he lives less than a mile from Emory. He and his wife have a home there. He takes his bike to work.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
right.
He just, I mean, they do have cars, but he's like, why am I going to drive a car? And that's more
Right.
their mindset
Right.
in a lot of ways.
Well, I'll go back to, I mean, you know, when Ryan and I moved to Roswell, we had always wanted to live in Roswell. We started looking 7 years ago, and we were not in a position at that point to do that. So we moved to Forsyth County, which is awesome. A lot of stuff going on up there. And then when I was fortunate enough to get this job, Roswell it checked off so many different boxes because we had that initial, Canton Street was enticing, was awesome, right? But then we quickly found out Chattahoochee River is like 2 miles away. You don't think it's as close to downtown. It really is.
You don't realize it.
This river, like we have access to this river. And then, of course, you know, all the different parks, how strong the park system was. And then when you put all those different things with the fact that we have very strong schools, whether public or private, you know, you have
Both
options
directions.
here. What we're even seeing, Steve and I, we see a lot of people moving up to Roswell and the suburbs, the North Fulton suburbs from the downtown areas because they're also realizing, okay, you've also got the product. You're becoming more walkable. I mean, many of these communities are. You're designing them in ways that some of these developments are very walkable. So they're getting the things that, you know,
that they need.
that drew them initially in Midtown or downtown. It's kind of cool.
And when you talk about the river park, everybody remember, we go the entire, if you think about that, because again, I do live on the other side of 400. I'm not going to go east-west on it. But the trail goes the entire way.
Yeah. All the way from Cobb
All the way
Gwinnett.
to Cobb to Gwinnett.
It's amazing.
And then, you know, we're very close to the Big Creek, spillway where we have that 17-mile mountain biking training trail. We have, you know, so
got
you have
so
both
many
that,
unique things.
but also you have this, you know, amazing, just a feel of community.
Right.
You know, it's still, again, I know where I live, but you know, maybe we do come down a lot to Canton Street. So I can, not everyone, but that I can, you know, I know people just know who you are.
That's right. We've got identity.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but I think I see that with a lot of different people.
Right.
And even if you're sitting on one of the benches
Yeah.
at the park, at the river park, or even up here in Canton Street,
Yep.
and I know other benches, people will come up and say hi.
Yes.
100%.
And we'll say hi, and then, you know, maybe usually start a conversation of, and that to me, again, I grew up in a small town, so I think there's still that small town,
There is.
somewhat atmosphere.
Well, Mayor, you've been very generous with your time. We could go on forever and ever, and we know that we're going to have you back because we're going to have exciting updates, different things are going to happen, and we're certainly going to want to get together and talk about those different things. So we just wanted to treat this like an introductory to the community. And we, again, thank you very much. Thank you for your really your willingness to step up and serve and be here. And we look forward to a great partnership with you.
Thank you. Same here.
And as we always say on this podcast, it's always a great day to do business in Roswell, Georgia. So cheers.
And I'm going to say it's always a great day to live in Roswell, Georgia.
Cheers.
Cheers.